intern, I field a lot of calls from constituents, and they seem to have an understanding that there's a spending problem. But a lot of them express frustration that there's a willingness to cut entitlement programs when things like defense spending and spending on wars are rarely touched, if at all. What would you say to those constituents?
I don't think anyone can seriously maintain that if we're ever going to balance our budget, within a reasonable time period, meaning within the next 5 years or so, which is what I think we have to, or else the problem is going to get so big that we're not going to be able to control it. Nobody can be taken seriously unless they acknowledge that everything has to be on the table, literally everything. In the past, you've had a lot of Republicans utterly unwilling to even hint at the possibility that we might put defense on the table and consider defense for possible spending reductions. We have to acknowledge that possibility now, that dire necessity now. And outside the Republican Party, others have said you can't possibly even think about touching entitlement programs. People now are acknowledging that. And so the best response is to say that we really have no choice. We're spending money that we don't have. We have been doing that for a long time. And regardless of what program you most care about, if you want to preserve the government's ability to continue providing that program, you have to become reconciled with the fact that cuts are going to be necessary, probably in every single program.
And ultimately, it is the compromise that conservatives and liberals, Republicans and Democrats, whatever the spectrum is, the compromise that will have to occur, and I tell them in my caucus, and I'm not getting a lot of support other than maybe mine, is that conservatives will have to acknowledge that you will have to cut military spending. Liberals will have to acknowledge you have to cut domestic spending. And these are just the consequence of the facts. There is a problem, and we will have to make that compromise. But we've doubled so many of these things. Military spending doubled in the last 8 years. So there is room for cutting military spending, and I believe in strong national defense. But if you don't believe in cutting military spending, I tell the conservatives, you're not a serious fiscal conservative. So there's hypocrisy on both sides. But some of us will point that out, and we'll see where we go. But this is the first time in years that actually people are going to wake up and listen.